Everything is heating up or cooling off. We have the plague of the hailstorm smashing into things, slaughtering the people of the field and the animals in the field, destroying the crops. People are hiding inside for safety. Destruction is real. Pharaoh claims to be ready to release the Israelites, but is he truly ready? Has he submitted? No, I think not. He's not ready yet. Moses has more to do. Let's see what happens next. Exodus 10 and 1. The Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have made his heart hard, and his servants' hearts, that I might show these my signs of divine power before him." 10 and 2. And that you may recount in the ears of your son and of your grandson that I have done in derision of the Egyptians, and what things I have repeatedly done there, my signs of divine power, done among them, that you may recognize and know that I am the Lord. So he's got to go in and see Pharaoh again, but now it is revealed that he has hardened the heart of Pharaoh. Pharaoh, he was ready to kind of submit. He was probably ready to go, but he just kept hardening his heart, and the Lord assisted in making it even harder. But why did he do this? Why continue on with this path of destruction? Well, it's for the generations. It's not just for Moses and getting the people out of Egypt. God could have done that probably earlier and quicker, but it was to make a sign for the people, for the Israelites in the future, that they would know that this was God delivering them through all these different plagues and signs and wonders, that the future generations would be able to see this and be in wonder and be like, oh yeah, that was God doing that. That was the work of God. This was not the work of man. And by it continuing to escalate and become farther and farther away from what people can do. If we recall earlier on in the book of Exodus, when Moses is encountering these magicians, they're able to kind of do similar works. So the wonders have to escalate, and they keep escalating till eventually those magicians, those practitioners of the dark arts, they can't keep up anymore. And they're like, this is the hand of God. That even they see that things need to escalate, that this is something that only God could do. And it's for the generations. It's not just about the here and now. The here and now being thousands of years ago, right? Exodus 10 and 3. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, "Thus says the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me." 10 and 4. For if you refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow I will bring locusts into your country. I do wonder of the human condition, of the perspective of Pharaoh and Pharaoh's personal experience at this juncture in time. What's going through his mind? What's he doing? He just sees this destruction. He sees the rain, hail, these crazy storms. There was lightning, and the lightning like caught stuff on fire, and it was just quite the event. And they had all these other plagues before this too. And Pharaoh is seeing all this, and even his magicians like, man, that is the hand of God. There's no way we can do that one. Maybe we can turn our sticks into serpents, but there's limits on what we can do. And they even see that, right? And these would have been probably hardcore super duper Satanists. So so there we go. We got that going on there. And Pharaoh is he's not ready to submit. And it looks like God's hardened his heart, so he's not ready or able to either until he gets to a fully defeated state. So he's kind of in like that state of madness, that level of insanity where you just can't perceive the world around you, and nothing makes sense to him. He's not thinking straight, and he's probably not sleeping very well. I mean, it's probably hard to sleep with all those frogs a couple days ago, and that storm would probably be very hard to sleep through as well. So maybe he's a little bit lacking in sleep, and his bread might not have been that good that morning either. They had to pull out the frogs a couple days ago. Maybe they threw out the flour that was with the frogs, so maybe he's not eating very well either. So Pharaoh, he's just in a rough situation. And here we go. The Hebrew boys show up. Moses and Aaron, they just won't give him a break. But then again, he's enslaved their people, so that's probably fair. So now we got the next plague, locusts. Now it is my understanding that locusts are a lot like grasshoppers. I think maybe a grasshopper is kind of like the more colloquial term or whatever, but they're bugs. They eat stuff and they reproduce like crazy, and they just devour everything, and then they just keep reproducing. So you just have like these giant swarms of these locusts, and I think they are like sharp and hard too. So it's like you swat at them, and it like you cut your arms, and they probably get up and continue to attack you, and they just devour everything. So it is quite a plague. So a lot of the food, it would have been destroyed in that hailstorm the day before, but the locusts, they'll eat what's on the field, but they'll also get into the storehouses and eat all the food in there, and it's just a nasty thing to have happen. And I mean, back in those days, they didn't have flamethrowers and stuff to fight back against these things, and crazy chemical warfare that we use as well. That really, I think, can kill some bugs. They had to rely on the old-fashioned way of swatting at them, beating them with sticks and stuff. I don't know what they'd do. I mean, they'd be very overwhelming. It was just like an endless horde of these things. And the morale of the people, the morale of the Egyptians, these are not fresh legs, right? These guys are all worn down from all these plagues. They're probably like, come on, get these Hebrews out of here. We've had enough of this fun. But of course there'll be other ones that are like, oh man, screw those guys, what they did to us, we need to work them to death. Kind of a weird situation there, but locusts, here we go, another plague. Exodus 10 and 5. And they shall cover the land, so that one cannot see the ground. And they shall eat the remainder of what escaped, and is left to you from the hail. And they shall eat every tree of yours that grows in the field. 10 and 6. The locust shall fill your houses, and those of all your servants, and of all the Egyptians, as neither your fathers nor your father's father have seen from their birth until this day. Then Moses departed from Pharaoh. That latter half there, as Moses and Aaron explained this to Pharaoh, it was a total mic drop moment. And if Moses had a cape, he turned around quickly, and it kind of flushed into the air as they both left. Pharaoh, he would have been probably flabbergasted by this situation, but it is what it is, and it is coming. It will not be fun. Exodus 10 and 7. And Pharaoh's servants said to him, how long shall this man be a snare to us? Let the men go, that they may serve the Lord their God. Do you not yet understand and know that Egypt is destroyed? Well, hopefully the servants can talk some reason into the Pharaoh, for they see the destruction that has befallen their great and mighty nation. Years it took to build up to this point, but in a slow juncture of time, all these plagues have rained chaos upon the land. Exodus 10 and 8. So Moses and Aaron were brought again to Pharaoh, and he said to them, go, serve the Lord your God. But just who are to go? 10 and 9. And Moses said, we will go with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds, all of us and all we have, for we must hold a feast to the Lord. I really like this long way he goes over all these different groups he has to take with him. Well, we got to take the young, we got to take the old, we got to take our sons and daughters, and of course we got to take our flocks, because no one's going to be there to look after the flocks. So I guess we just got to take everybody with us and all of our animals, and we're going to need food for the animals, so we should probably take some of that as well. So essentially they're just going to take everyone and go and have this feast to the Lord. And what's Pharaoh going to have to say about that? Exodus 10 and 10. Pharaoh said to them, let the Lord be with you, if I ever let you go with your little ones. See, you have some evil purpose in mind. 10 and 11. Not so, you that are men, without your families go, serve the Lord, for that is what you want. And Moses and Aaron were driven from Pharaoh's presence. So we have Moses who wants to take everyone with him, for they all need to go and make this feast to the Lord. Pharaoh's not having that. He's like, oh, you guys can go, you can go. But what? You want to take everybody? Oh, that's not going to work out. Maybe just the guys that don't have families, send them along. So, instead of arguing or whatever, he just kicks Moses and Aaron out. So concludes their negotiation. Big mistake, Pharaoh, big mistake. Exodus 10 and 12. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come up on the land of Egypt and eat all the vegetation of the land, all that the hail has left. 10 and 13. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. When it was morning, the east wind brought the locust. 10 and 14. And the locusts came up over all the land of Egypt, and all settled down on the whole country of Egypt. A very dreadful mass of them. Never before were there such locusts as these, nor will there ever be again. That rod of Moses sure is getting a lot of work, but it's just the symbology of it. God is the real power behind this. And here comes the locusts. We have this wind. The wind's carrying all these locusts in, presumably from another location that they would have been growing and breeding or whatever, and maybe they were buried underground. I think some bugs do that. They lay underground for so many years, and then they all hatch at once, and then they spring their attack. So I wonder if it was like some distance away. I guess if it's an east wind, the wind's coming from the east, so somewhere out to the east there was all these locusts or whatever. They all hatched, unburrowed from the ground or whatever, and then the wind carried them over. And these are special, mighty locusts. For it says, nor will there ever be again. So these are probably special, divine locusts that just destroy everything, and they're just super mighty and powerful. Not your standard issue locusts. These are the mighty locusts. Exodus 10 and 15. For they covered the whole land, so that the ground was darkened, and they ate every bit of vegetation of the land, and all the fruit of the tree which the hail had left. There remained not a green thing of the trees or the plants of the field in all the land of Egypt. 10 and 16. Then Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron in haste. He said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and you. 10 and 17. Now therefore forgive my sin, I pray you, only this once, and entreat the Lord your God, only that he may remove from me this plague of death. And the Pharaoh, he talks a lot of smack. He gets all worked up. He's not letting the people go. The second the plagues come, he comes knocking on the door of Moses and Aaron, looking for him to stop these plagues. And he's all apologetic and whatever. And so they relent. They end these plagues. And then he simply just does the same thing over again. This is multiple times now where we've seen this event, that Pharaoh sees this wondrous plague, and he begs them to stop it. They stop it, and he still won't submit to the Lord. He's not ready to let the Israelis, the Hebrews, out of the land of Egypt. What is going on here? What is wrong with this man? It is as if he is going out of his way to not learn of the situation he is in, to not apply rational thinking to any. He is living by emotion and doing whatever is easy. And once the pain of the plague goes away, it's as if he forgot it even occurred. And he just continues on the same path he was on originally, not learning, not growing, being stuck in his ways, hardening his heart. Exodus 10 and 18. Then Moses left Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. 10 and 19. And the Lord turned a violent west wind, which lifted the locusts and drove them into the Red Sea, Not one locust remained in all the country of Egypt. Well, there we go. So all these locusts comes are destroying everything, and now we have another miracle in making the locusts go away. Exodus 10 and 20. But the Lord made Pharaoh's heart more strong and obstinate, and he would not let the Israelites go. The Pharaoh was talking about letting him go or whatever it is, but the Lord knows that he's not ready yet, so he hardens his heart some more. For if they were to go free now, it would probably be a similar situation. This would just be his emotions. This would just be a reactionary event of letting them go. He's not actually ready to submit to the Lord, and so he needs to be pushed even further. And of course, it really does demonstrate the power of God when he's able to do all these wondrous things. Kind of a scenario of benefit to a whole lot of people in ways that are beyond the perception of Pharaoh or even Moses at this juncture in time. Exodus 10 and 21. And the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand towards the heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, a darkness which may be felt. 10 and 22. So Moses stretched out his hand towards the sky, and for 3 days a thick darkness was over all the land of Egypt. I think I have read before that some people think that this might have been like a solar event, like an eclipse or something, and stuff just kind of got dark. But I've been in an eclipse, and yeah, they do feel a little bit eerie, and they're a little bit weird and strange. But this darkness, the way it's described here, I think is a little different and more to it than that. I think if you lit a fire in like a fireplace or something, you might not even be able to see that from like a foot away. That this darkness was eerie, and you could like feel it. You could feel the darkness, and you can't see anything. Even lighting a fire, even your sources of light don't produce light anymore. A supernatural darkness over the land of Egypt. Was this like some sort of thick fog, or was this some sort of other element or effect? I mean, we really don't know, but this darkness was not a normal darkness, and it just covered all of Egypt. Exodus 10 and 23. The Egyptians could not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days, but all the Israelites had natural light in their dwellings. So whatever this phenomenon was, it didn't affect the Israelites, so they were fine. But this eerie darkness, the Egyptians, they weren't even leaving their homes, for they would get into deep trouble, for they can't see anything. I don't know. I almost wonder if it was like just they were all blind. Like it just, I don't know, crazy scenario. Exodus 10 and 24. And Pharaoh called to Moses and said, go serve the Lord. Let your little ones also go with you. It is only your flocks and your herds that must not go. 10 and 25. But Moses said, you must give into our hands also sacrifices and burnt offering, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. 10 and 26. Our livestock also shall go with us. There shall not a hoof be left behind, for of them must we take to serve the Lord our God. And we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we arrive there. Over the last few plagues, we've seen the Pharaoh say that they can go, but he keeps adding stipulations. And it's like, well, you can go, but only these people can go, and not all of you. And he keeps lowering the amount of restrictions. I think some of it is like collateral, that by having something left in Egypt, they'll be forced to come back to Egypt, and then they can stay there. And this would only be them going for a sacrifice for a time, that they wouldn't be able to separate from the land. So now the restriction is on the animals, and they kind of need the animals for the sacrifice. Because we think back to Cain and Abel, that God really appreciated the blood sacrifice, and it was kind of needed to be a covering of the sin or whatever, so that they were able to kind of have a little bit of a relation. So by restricting the animals, that's just not going to work. And splitting the families, that's not going to work. They need to all go out in one, and the Pharaoh is just not letting it happen. So what's God going to do? Exodus 10 and 27. But the Lord made Pharaoh's heart stronger and more stubborn. He would not let them go. 10 and 28. And Pharaoh said to Moses, get away from me. See that you never enter my presence again. For the day you see my face again, you shall die. 10 and 29. And Moses said, you have spoken truly. I will never see your face again. So we have hit that point, that turning point. Pharaoh is now broken. He says he never wants to see Moses again. He's cutting off communication in the way that he says that if he sees him again, he's going to kill him. And Moses says, you'll never see my face again. As a bit of a prophecy, I'm sure God let him know ahead of time that this was going to be their last face-to-face meeting like this. And from here on, the Hebrew people, the Hebrews, the Israelites, are going to break free of their bondage of the Egyptians and travel to safety and begin the process of traveling to the promised land.